Grazie a lei. Grazie a voi.
Dottor Marchionne, scusi, sarà come vuole, da qua o da là. Dottor Marchionne, come preferisce. Dottore, davanti a dottore.
Sempre stare a scuola. Grazie, vi ringrazio.
Dopo le diamo il voto.
Sì, va bene, io mi comporto bene. Grazie.
Ragazzi, basta, ragazzi, andiamo. Ragazzi, andiamo.
Presente in classe, lo ero.
Ragazzi, andiamo.
Dottore, ingegnere onoris causa. Grazie. Sì, devo poter girare. Salve.
Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a questo attesissimo incontro.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this much awaited meeting with Sergio Marchionne.
E un grazie particolare.
We're all very thankful to Mr. Marchionne, who is here and has just come from the United States. President Barack Obama has acknowledged Sergio Marchionne for what he did, and I believe that he's to also thanked on behalf of the Italian manufacturers system. When Sergio Marchionne took it upon himself in 2004 to start leading the largest car manufacturer in Italy, he also took upon himself to solve the problems of FIAT and of the Italian system altogether. Whenever you talk about FIAT, indeed, you refer to the Italian system. FIAT now is making profit. Why is that? Some of the plants of FIAT, Melfi, Pomigliano and Mirafiori, some of the many plants have become an area for great debate. And this debate affects the country as a whole, with influence on its competitiveness. At a time of globalization, we have to become more competitive. Plants are to be updated without losing jobs, without negative repercussions with the trade unions, the bank system, and so on and so forth. In his letter to the employees in Italy, to the Italian employees, this letter was written on July the 9th, and Sergio Marchionne in his letter said the crisis made it more apparent, and unfortunately for many families, made it even greater, the weakness of the Italian system. The worst thing of a manufacturing system when it cannot be competitive is that in the end it is employers that have to pay the brunt. What we tried and achieved at FIAT, Marchionne wrote, is connected to the Fabbrica Italia project. The objective is to revert this trend. Thank you very much for being here. My question is, what do you mean by reverting the trend?
Signore e signori.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I'm not used to having so many young people as an audience, and so this makes me feel very, very deeply responsible for having such a young audience. I'd like to thank Dr. Scholz and the organizers of the Rimini meeting for granting me the opportunity to meet up with you and to be with you here today. To talk before an audience of young people, well, is one of the most difficult things to do. Well, perhaps because you don't like conferences with so many words being spoken that mean very little in the end. I'm sure that young people don't like formal meetings that leave attendance
Non amate gli incontri formali.
You don't like formal meetings that leave attendance nothing more than a badge to boast as if it were a medal. Well, only rarely have I been asked to intervene in such conferences. Well, I can tell you that I don't like these conferences myself. I don't want to seem rude, but I've always tried and be simple, straight to the point. Obviously, I don't think I always have the truth, but I believe that intellectual honesty is indeed the best way to contribute and to accomplish something together. And this is indeed what I'm here to do today. I must confess that the speech I had prepared for you was completely different from the one that I'm going to present you with. I was thinking about talking about the main issues that our society, any society wishing to consider itself as righteous, has to come to terms with. I was thinking about the globalization meaning, whether it actually contributes benefits, or the nonsense of globalization itself, if it doesn't bring about any benefit, if people are just outraged by the disadvantages of violence. I thought I would talk to you about what happened 11 years ago when I was lucky enough to meet Nelson Mandela in Davos. I thought I was going to talk about the most difficult issues that manhood has to come to terms with. And I was going to talk to you about the scandal of uneven distribution of wealth worldwide. I was going to talk to you about the unjust distribution again of wealth. I thought I was going to talk about such issues because you're young, because you have your own lives in your hand, and yet I cannot ignore what is happening in Italy in connection with the Melfi plant. I cannot forget the severe accusations that FIAT has been charged with. It is not in my nature to avoid problems. This is why over the last 48 hours I had to change my speech completely. And I decided to talk about much more local issues. Indeed, it is local issues that I'm going to target in a few minutes. The title of my presentation is Choosing the Road. Well, I'm not going to hold any lecture before you. I'm no professor, I'm no economist either, and I'm certainly no politician. I'm just a businessman. I am just a man of the industry. And I'm thinking about the future of your lives. Even if I know all the different details of all of you, I would find it extremely difficult to give advice. The road ahead in all our lives is full of different influences and elements based on which we make our choices. What I can do here to contribute to today's meeting is share with you my past experience as a young man and then as a man, and my past experience also and my present experience as a CEO of FIAT. I was born in Chieti in the Abruzzo region. Some 250 kilometers away from here. For family reasons, for working reasons, I spent most of my life abroad. I had to get used to move houses, move places, and change friends. I was 14 when my family moved to Canada, and I must tell you that it hadn't been easy at all. Starting all from scratch is certainly never easy, especially if you go to a foreign country, if you have to talk a foreign language, if you have to manage the loneliness of certain moments. it's never easy to do away with your certainties and to meet up with the uncertainty of the new world. Cesare Pavese was right when he said that the traveling is brutality. It makes you be to trust in aliens, and you always feel out of balance. Nothing is really our own unless what is really basic. Sleep, dreams, sea, sky, or what aims at the endless time. But the very opportunity I had to travel around and to meet up with new people provided me with a great opportunity. I got in touch with an unknown world, and this is something that may change you totally, because it makes you rely on your own strengths and to overcome your weaknesses. After attending university, when I started working, I had to move places again and change countries as well. And this obviously brought about pain and suffering, because every time it was just like starting again from scratch. And when you're living or working in a country which is not your own, you have to manage something else if compared to the other people. You have to manage the mistrust that you may be the object of. Many people indeed look at you as an alien, and they feel mistrust. And you feel the very same, because you don't feel you're really rooted in that society. You have only doubts and uncertainties when facing a new world. Well, all these elements actually marked my own personal history. Nearly some 40 years had to go by, and 2 different countries, such as France and Switzerland, before my life took me back to my own country, Italy, in 2004, when indeed I was appointed as a CEO of FIAT. My past experiences, my working experiences the world over certainly may contribute importantly to my own professional career. I'm very well familiar of the situation away from Italy. And it is this knowledge which I've tried and am still trying to contribute to FIAT, so that FIAT is not isolated if compared to what happens around it in the rest of the world. Over the past few years, we've worked hard to make sure that our company could grow and be competitive with the best competitors, with first-class manufacturers, and to gain trust and respect on main markets. FIAT today is a multinational with industrial activities the world over. Indeed, we're present in all continents. We have business relations with 190 countries and more. And the partnership that we've agreed upon with Chrysler was made available only thanks to the opening up of FIAT internationally. Hadn't we had such a global approach, we'd never, ever grasp the opportunity that actually emerged on the other side of the ocean. And when the company was set up, there was a dream that of promoting mobility of people. The objective was that also of growing and contributing to the world what Italians can do. The objective was, again, to make the society at large the beneficiary of Italian skills. When President Obama said that the right partner for Chrysler would be FIAT, it was really the coming true of a dream. A month ago, President Obama came to visit one of the Chrysler plants in Detroit. And Monday last, the Vice President, Joe Biden, came to visit the Toledo plant in Ohio. Both President and Vice President congratulated us on the work we carried out, for the important contribution we are giving to the change of the American industry. The crisis again hit the industry as a tsunami of those who did not see change coming to the fore. We succeeded with the technology innovation. We succeeded because we could bring to the US low consumption engines. No doubt, the US government proved to be very bold. An initiative that started off as just to save 100,000 jobs became the opportunity to launch the New Green Deal, with which we want to bear importantly on the consumers' habits, supporting car industry trying to reduce emissions and consumption. FIAT has the honor to be involved in the process of retrofitting of the American car industry, and we're proud we can do that because this is the part and parcel of the way we see our job. A year away from the beginning of this process, Chrysler is now making profit. And this proves us that we have taken the right direction. The partnership between Chrysler and Fiat is not just but a business opportunity. Indeed, Fiat and Chrysler together are joining efforts, are joining together their competition so as to build a stronger group, and so that in the 5-year period, 6 million cars will be produced so as to be present on a larger number of markets, so as to come up with a complete range of products. Fiat and Chrysler are also leading to a cultural integration which is based on respect and on humility or humbleness. This integration certainly may contribute importantly Chrysler certainly or Fiat rather, may boast an international position. Indeed, Fiat has a leadership position in Latin America, and a plant has been established in China and Russia. Fiat is therefore a privileged vantage point, so that we can actually see what is happening around the world. We can see how global economy is developing, and we can see how we can make it possible for the company to develop an interconnected, open system without any geographic or economic borders. Unfortunately, I have the impression that in Italy there's no interest, there's no trust for this wealth of information. Or perhaps in Italy, there's no wish, there's no desire, there's no will to change. Oftentimes, the reason for the economic and social decline of a country are closely related to what we could not indeed change and transform, following the habit of keeping things unchanged. This has been the great evil of Fiat as well for long years. When I joined Fiat in 2004, I found a company that was totally still, that was closed and self-reliant, and that was just basing itself to its own result rather than the performance of the competitors.
And instead of competing with the rest of the world. Now, inevitably, this is the same risk that is currently faced by our country. Think of how low foreign investments are. Think of the number of enterprises that have been closed over the past few years, and all of those that left Italy in view of the current situation. The recent recession clearly showed how weak the industrial structure in Italy, also for our families. Now, whenever industry is unable to compete, I mean, in the end, it is the workers who have to bear the brunt and pay the consequences of the crisis. What we are thinking of doing with the project Progetto Italia is to revert the trend. The project, which had been put forward 4 months ago, implied important investments for the country to increase the number of vehicles produced in Italy and promote export. For the fulfillment of this project, we have to fill the competitive gap dividing us from the other countries, so that we can bring up Fiat to that competition level which is required to allow Italy to be competitive, and especially to guarantee to all of our workers a safer future. We all know very well the rules of the market. I mean, everything is ruled by supply and demand, and there is a very delicate balance to be reached. In pursuing this balance, there are moral principles that have to be complied with, but they have to be free from any condition. I mean, if we were to leave the market completely free, then the prospects for Fiat in Italy would be no good. The truth is that the only area in the world where the marketing and industrial structure of Fiat lies in Italy, unfortunately. This year, exactly like last year, it has been like this. Fabbrica Italia has meant to restructure and recover the efficiency of our industrial sector. We intend to transform Italy into a strategic platform for producing and exporting cars. The only thing that we actually need is a guarantee that our plants can work properly with no hindrances, exactly as it happens all over the world with reference to management systems. What is exceptional is that this effort takes place in Italy instead of moving to other countries that move better opportunities. There is a strong need to change, to reorganize a system which allows Fiat to remain competitive. What we are currently witnessing is the coexistence of two models, one which is linked to the past and the other one which is more projected into the future. I don't know the reasons behind this clash of two models, whether it's for ideological reasons or different reasons. The only thing I know that until we will leave these old models behind us and look at the future, but there will never be space for new horizons.
A volte ho l'impressione che gli sforzi che la FIAT.
Sometimes I have the impression that the efforts undertaken by Fiat to strengthen its position in Italy are misunderstood or not entirely appreciated, or deliberately not appreciated. The truth is that Fiat is the only enterprise who has been ready to invest 20 million euros in Italy, the only enterprise ready to take actions against the weakness of our production system, to transform it into something stronger, which does not require emergency measures, something that will be lasting and which will be a perfect basis to build a new future. The truth is that others insist on saying this change as a conflict, as a clash, but we are no longer in the 60s. We cannot lay the foundations for the future, insisting on thinking that there is a clash between work and capital, between masters and workers. Now, if Italy is unable to leave aside this approach, we will never get anywhere. I mean, building barricades within our system can only fuel an internal feud, an internal war. And this is the only challenge that we have to face up to. What is currently required is a great collective effort, a great effort on a new social pact, so that we can share sacrifices, responsibilities and effort, thus allowing Italy to grow and look at the future. This is the only way to create new foundations, a new starting point, a new opportunity to build a new Italy which will be in the heritage of future generations. I mean, we all think that change is the engine of progress. It is the great source of opportunities. Very often the praise for change is good as long as we are not involved. I mean, we are free to decide what kind of change we are interested in, our change or that of the others. But to do this, we have to be aware that the first option requires effort, endeavor, and hard work on our part. The second option obliges us to be just bystanders and not directly involved. Now, Fiat was able to overcome the terrible situation of 2004, and the same Fiat is now looking for new approaches to become one of the biggest car makers in the world. And Fiat has decided to keep pace with reality, with the current world. We are all working in a very complex world, many problems keep changing every day. Every day there are new variables joining into this framework, and this requires the system to be extremely flexible and extremely quick in the uptake and in the reactions in order to keep pace with the constant changes in the market. the ability to provide responses to what we can't possibly predict is actually the only possibilities that we have to succeed. That's why FIAT is constantly changing. It's a very dynamic and flexible enterprise, constantly changing. In a few months, FIAT will certainly be much different from the FIAT of today and also from the FIAT of the future. I think that the greatest virtue of our enterprise lies in this ability to move and change constantly. The leaders of FIAT must be able to react very quickly and to keep up pace with with the changes that are ongoing changes that are very quick, also to face competition. This is fundamental if we want to seize all the opportunities that we are presented with. And they certainly represent the difference between being successful or unsuccessful. We also have to follow very closely what is taking place on the market or markets. There are obviously factors that are beyond our control and beyond our responsibilities, and this can lead us to serious difficulties. I've often said that I personally believe in a system that is responsible for solving the problems of the recent recession and the problems that are connected with recent changes. This is our responsibility towards the citizens, and we have to be consistent with the model of social development that we have embraced. I mean, rejecting changes implies rejecting the future. Unless we are able to adapt to the changing world, we will end up simply picking up the pieces of a shattered past.
La maggior parte delle persone che lavorano in FIAT.
The majority of those who work for FIAT have greatly appreciated our commitment in Italy. Unfortunately, I've heard false allegations, accusations, but I don't want to fuel that polemics anymore. I want to defend the aims of our project and the intentions behind this challenge, and I want to defend all those that want to do something good. I'm referring here to Cisl and Will and their respective Secretary General, Mr. Bonanni and Mr. Angeletti. Who are on our side in this restructuring process of the Italian car-making industry. I mean, the agreement that we got to for Pomigliano, first of all, had the agreement of the majority of the trade unions and also the agreement of the majority of the workers. I mean, a correct system for industrial relations is to guarantee that the agreements are then complied with and implemented. These are the rules of democracies. Otherwise, we are in chaos. I mean, complying with an agreement is a sign of civilization. It's compulsory. I mean, you cannot have the rights of the few prevail over the rights of the many.
Ed è quindi inammissibile.
Therefore, we can no longer tolerate or accept certain behaviors, such as the lack of respect for rules and other actions that have got very close to sabotage. This is not fair towards our enterprise, but especially it is not fair towards all the other workers. Now, I am fully aware that decisions like the ones we have taken in Melfort are obviously not popular, but also we have to take into account that what happened have been violations. I mean, there have been many criticism and polemics with reference to the Melfi story. But, I mean, for the time being, we did what we had to do, complying with the rulings of the Italian tribunal. We have guaranteed to the workers access to the plant and the full exercise of their trade unionist rights. We have to comply with our internal regulations. It is also true that all the hype in the media has not contributed to a balanced interpretation of what happened. Meanwhile, what is important to note is the need to guarantee minimal requirements of a relationship based on trust, which is the basis of any type of relationship. A lot has been said about dignity and rights and respect for rights, but dignity and rights cannot be the exclusive heritage of three people. These values have to be defended and have to be made valid for anyone. We also have to safeguard the dignity of our enterprise and safeguard the right to work of all the workers. So the allegations and the accusation on the part of the trade union do not contribute to a peaceful climate. And this is fundamental if we want to develop the ambitious programs that we intend to implement. I mean, we don't want to be admired or every single day, not necessarily just like when we got back from the States with the $2 billion of General Motors or when President Obama announced the agreement with Chrysler. But also we're not ready to accept unjust criticisms. I mean, we keep working, sticking to the same values. I'm referring here to correctness, integrity, and responsible management in our business. Fabrica Italia is based on these foundations. It's a project that lies at the heart of Fiat and not just on any idea. I mean, taking the decision that we took for Pomigliano was based on specific grounds. For us, it would have been much better to leave things as they were and confirm the plant in Poland where the production had always been very, very good. We took our decision considering the history of Fiat in Italy, the symbolic value of Fiat for Italy, what it has always been for the Italians, and the privileged relationship of Fiat with Italy. We did it because, I mean, with no prejudice to the strength of our enterprise, we think that we have to keep an eye on the country and privilege the country where Fiat has its roots.
Facciamo tutto questo perché crediamo.
We've done all that because we trust in the Italian future of Fiat, because we thought that that would provide development possibilities in our country. I strongly believe that there are indeed possibilities for us to build together something important in Italy, something better, something which is going to be long-lasting. Fabrica Italia is a huge project because it is the result of great passion, and we have the duty to safeguard this project. We're not interested in going to the TV and just, talk about our reasons as others are do. We're not interested in organizing TV shows, reality shows, just to justify a project which has intrinsic value and quality. We're not interested in making all what we built so far looked at with bias or through the distorted lens of political games that have nothing to do with the fundamental right of doing something good. This is certainly not going to help Fiat become a strong manufacturer competing with the best competitors worldwide. We believe indeed it would be better to use the time available to us to work hard to make sure that our vision is turned into a reality. And even entrepreneurs have a dignity in their work. They have huge responsibilities. I'm thinking about the risks that entrepreneurs have to take upon themselves as they commit themselves to try and pave the way for the international development of a company worldwide, with important repercussions from the society at large. Well, this responsibility, I believe, should be looked at with respect, if nothing else. What I believe is totally absurd is for FIAT to be congratulated upon by people all over the place, but in Italy. FIAT is always the same thing. Whether you look at it in Italy, South America, or elsewhere, our behavior, the principles guiding our actions are exactly the same the world over. FIAT is a serious company. It is managed by serious people with a strong set of values. And it is indeed these values that make it possible for our sense of responsibility prevail over indifference, as commitment should prevail on boredom. The business ethics has been really the key leading to the growth of our company and doing away with the prospect of bankruptcy. And this indeed is the heart of our action. And we're not going to change that in any way. Well, perhaps you're wondering now to what extent my words talking about the recent past of FIAT is any way connected with you. Well, I've lived through many things in my life, and I believe that all successful things are all based on the competition, on the skills and capacity and willingness on the side of men and women to take up responsibility upon their shoulders, and change is one of the strongest tools in our hands, something that we can use to build great things. And this is true for the industrial system, but this is also true for our own life. The invitation that I could extend to you as young people before me is the following. You have to be part of a great construction process. You have to get ready to become part of the team of tomorrow. Usually, people look at the life of somebody as being divided up between the training and work. Well, usually people tend to think that the training or the first part of their life is the one where you have to pile up knowledge so as to tackle the second part of your life, the working part of your life, the career, as if all the knowledge that you've piled up may be enough to go through the rest of your life. Well, I believe that this is going to leave you totally unprepared before a world which is changing very rapidly. Hegel would write as much in the preface of the book on philosophy of law. Philosophy is always too late in identifying potential changes in the world. It emerged immediately after something has already happened in reality. When philosophy depicts something, it means that something has already happened and cannot be remade, but can only be told about. Knowledge comes again when everything has already happened, when the truth is already there. What you study in books on the world depicts a situation which has already changed before your eyes while you're studying it. So irrespective of the future you want to, your future career, I believe that the approach is what is most important. The most important thing I've learned is that the most important thing we have to gain for ourselves is liberty. We have to be free. We have to be strong enough not to be conditioned against. We have to be free and be bold enough to do away with the models of the past, to do away with past habits and dependence. Reassuring paths are not leading you anywhere, and certainly don't help you to grow. They just make you lose the very sense of the journey. The freedom I'm talking about is mental freedom, is the condition that you may arrive at if you want to come to terms with the world, if you really wanted to fight for change. The hours you spend on books or before a computer are not the right way to enter the working career, or that may provide you with a possibility to have those cultural tools that you need for your career and for your life. Certainly the world today is difficult to understand, but I don't think there's any age which is easier than another. At all ages, people have to come to terms with what the past has left us with. This is the story of life. You know, when you inherited something, you never wanted to have it, and at that moment you may decide what you want to do with it. If you want to take on what has been given to you, well, you have one major opportunity before you. You can pull all your ideas, your dreams in a project so that your future is exactly as you expect it to be. The shape of the society of the future certainly depend heavily on your ideals, on the way you think, on the way you act. Each of you may contribute to making a better society. This is the real challenge before us. A man who just follows a comfortable life is certainly going to live in a prison that he has built for himself, where walls are too high or too thick for air to go through or for light to be seen. If you just look at yourself, you're never going to be free, because the only room available would be that constraint of a mirror. True freedom only exists with commitment. And I believe that this is very much synonymous with the title of your meeting, very similar to what Hegel said with reference to nature. In the world, nothing great has been achieved without passion. Well, I believe that this is the only way also to find your own self-realization and to attach more meaning to our lives. We have to follow our way. We have to follow our life, and we have to take it upon our shoulder that we have a great responsibility. Machiavelli, nearly 500 years ago, said that going back to square one depends on the skill, on the capacity of each man. The past indeed has a very strong influence, so that good men want to imitate that, and evil men do not want to follow that. If there's a secret in today's Fiat, is exactly this. We were good enough in developing a company made of virtuous men and women. All these are people who feel the responsibility of what they do. All these are people who act with courage and enthusiasm and are always there to set the example. These are people that only strict behavior can grant them good results. And this is the wish with which I wish to leave you. This is the take-home message. Irrespective of your future career, I wish you all to become as the person that Machiavelli had described, men and women of virtue. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Io non ti faccio nessuna domanda, chiudo. È andato benissimo così. Io ringrazio Sergio.
Thank you very much, Sergio Marchionne. First of all, for the invitation based on his own personal opinion, to open up our heart, look at the world, and experience life as an adventure. I think this is important, first and foremost. And then he also invited us to go beyond the prejudice, whereby an increased productivity that is needed to face up to competition is inevitably in contradiction with humanity. On the contrary, there is the possibility to create altogether a new production system which expresses a free and responsible humanity. And this is the task that we all have to face up to, and has to do with the important dialogue that has to take place between the social partners. Now, if I may, just one more question. The vast majority of all those of you who are here work in SMEs that are the backbone of our country. And we all know that the large industry is obviously very strong and can help SMEs in their growth and also to have an international role, etc. At the same time, we know that innovation in the larger industries was due to the work of the small industries. I firmly believe that in the future, especially in the Italian economic system, lies in a strong partnership between SMEs and large industries. I would like to ask Sergio Marchionne, how do you think in the future we can improve this partnership and therefore improve the system of our country? Very complex question. Now, let's talk about the impact of large industries on the economic activity of a country. Now, over the past 14 months, we have gone through a particular experience of the American market. We've seen the devastating effect if you reduce the economic activity of large industry. If you look at the city of Detroit in Michigan, which was heavily hit by the reduction of volumes, massive layoffs, etc. The impact is devastating. On average, 1 out of 7 large industry of the productive chain, including the marketing activities connected to the large industries, and 1 out of 7 is a true figure, and it's a particularly bad figure. It has a strong impact on the economic health of that region. Then, a relationship between FIAT and SMEs. It's a very important point. That we are currently working with the American Treasury, because they have actually become aware of the great opportunities that lie behind these SMEs. They are indeed a treasure of innovation, and large industries like FIAT can learn a lot. Maybe SMEs to some extent are more innovative. And as I said, we are currently working with the American Treasury to find a way to let these startups emerge in view of increasing innovation and the potential of the industrial sector in general. This obviously is an approach that is currently taking place in America, in the US, and dealing with non-traditional engines. I think the same concept could be well adapted for the more classical industrial sectors. FIAT is more than ready to cooperate with the social partners so as to allow this to happen. Now, in order to do this, we have to acknowledge the importance of a flexible system which allows us and those who work with us to reply very quickly to the changes taking place on the market. Now, being a CEO is one of the most complex professions. I have no rights. I am just a victim of decisions and rulings taken by others, but these decisions have then an impact on the markets and on the enterprise. The most important thing is to choose the people with whom I cooperate, and also I need to rely on good social partners who have to recognize the flexibility and the efforts that we all undertake. This is fundamental. I mean, a lot has been recently said about rights. I think we should also focus on duties.
Bene, io penso che
Well, I think that until very recently, until a few years ago, a lot has been said about the difference between Italy and the rest of the world. I hope that in the future there won't be any more such a great difference in having good relationship with the social partners, so that we will be more competitive and so that there will be more jobs for everybody. Thank you very much again, Sergio Marchionne, for being here with us, for his transparency, for his speech, and I really hope that what he does in FIAT will be for the benefit of us all.